Free League just launched another project on Kickstarter called Invincible, Superhero Roleplaying. And the QuickStart is also available in the website. So you can just go there and click, and then you go to ttrpg, and from there you can download not only the QuickStart rules, but also you have these character cards. There is also a map and the character sheets, the rules reference, and standees. So everything is currently available for free on ttrpg. Just go there if you are curious about it. And what I would like to do here is basically go through this QuickStart rules and just share my opinion, and maybe also get your opinion in the comment section of this video. So, Invincible. I was really surprised when they announced it. I was curious to see how a Year Zero game could fit in a superhero theme. And I think this is great to have Invincible, because Invincible, it's not like Marvel or DC. Invincible is brutal, and usually the Year Zero engine is also brutal. So I think it's a good combination to see these IP and these system engine together. But I'm still curious to see how it works on the table. What is this game? So there is a brief explanation here as usual. Of course, this is a superhero game, so the approach here is a little bit different. Instead of having games like Forbidden Lands, where we have Scroll or Mutant Year Zero, even The Walking Dead, that are more focused on exploration, and for that we have procedures and so on. This is a game that's different, because there's no need to go and explore as we do in these other games. Here we have scenes, exactly as in a TV show or in a comic book. So this is a different approach, and for those that already played some superhero games, I used to play Mutant and Masterminds years ago, and yeah, we are used to this, to have this approach. And there is also other games like Blade Runner, if I'm not wrong. There are more cinematic. Alien RPG also we play by scenes. So it's not a new approach, but it's just a different approach from other games like the newest release, the Coriolis, the Great Dark. But superhero game, scenes, great, I like it. Let's move on. It's important to say that in this QuickStart document, there is no rule, or there are no rules to create a character from scratch. Of course, usually in the QuickStart document, what we have is just basically pre-made characters. And actually, I could just take the opportunity to go through the pre-made characters. Here we have Atom Eve is one of them, Bulletproof, Monster Girl, Rexplode, Robots, and Invincible. But if I'm not mistaken, Invincible is not going to be a playable character. He's more like a NPC, if I'm not wrong. I didn't read the adventure. It is in the QuickStart, because I didn't want to spoil myself. I'm not sure if I'm going to play in someone else's table or if I'm going to try to play it solo. So this is the reason that I haven't read it yet. But this is the character sheet, and you can see that you have role here. And I could go back actually, because I think it makes more sense to go through the QuickStart document instead of the character sheet. We can have a look better on them afterwards. But we have the role, and you have controller, you have defender in some cases, wild card, leader, and for all of these roles, we have a brief explanation here. So we have blaster, we have brains, brawn, controller, defender, leader, striker, and wild card. Basically, I think that these roles are going to be what we see like the archetypes or backgrounds or whatever. So when you create your character in the core rules, I believe that you just need to choose one of these. And I do not know if they are going to follow the same approach as Coriolis, the Great Dark, where you choose like an archetype, and within that archetype you have 3-4 more options, and then you can like have some kind of more options, like roles and sub roles. Maybe they will have this, maybe not, I do not know. But these are the rules. Attributes, I can see clearly that they want to move away from the 4 core attributes that we used to have in older games from Free League, and now they are going to stick with 6 attributes once again. As in Coriolis the Great Dark, we have 6 attributes. Here they also have 6 attributes, but they are not the same. We have here fighting, and fighting is just your combat skills, right? You use this to melee combat mostly. Agility, mobility, coordination, and also for ranged attacks. Strength, it's your muscle power, your toughness, stamina, and so on. Reason, that it's your mental attributes, it's intelligence, comprehension, knowledge. Intuition, that your instinct, your perception, and presence, that's basically your charisma and personality. So these 6 attributes, from these 6 attributes derives 2 pools. One is the health pool, and the other one is the resolve pool. So differently in Coriolis, we have basically three pools: the health, resolve, I don't remember the names exactly, and there is another one for the blight. But here we only have 2. So your fighting, agility, and strength define your health, and your reason, intuition, and presence define your resolve. Basically, you sum these 3 attributes together, divide by 2, round up, and that is your health or resolve. So it depends if your health, 3 physical attributes, and resolve mental and social attributes. And of course, as a superhero game, we have powers. The characters, they have powers, and here we have a description of what is a power level. Basically, your powers, they might have level. Not all powers have levels, but the powers that have levels, they can be classified as basic, major, and massive. There is also so-called power boosts that can change some power. So what I believe that's going to happen is very similar to what we have in Mutant and Mastermind, where you get the basic power and then you apply modifications to it in order to personalize or customize it to your taste. And the third one that they mentioned here is power source. Basically describes where your powers come from. But we also have talents and drawbacks. And talents, exactly the same approach as they did in Coriolis the Great Dark, but now we have drawbacks. And I like it a lot, because I think it's the first time that I see that we have some kind of drawbacks or flaws or whatever in a Year Zero engine game. That can affect the character mechanically speaking. In Dragonbane, we have weakness as an optional rule, but again, Dragonbane is not a Year Zero game. So for a Year Zero game, I think this is the first time that we have something like that. And we also have personal stuff such as occupation, personality, drive, flaw, that it's more a narrative characteristics, so it does not affect mechanically, it's just more the story itself, and key relationships. There are also resources and gear. It's not a game based on gear and weapons and such thing, but we have a score there that can be used basically to in comparison with power. So if you have a character that relies more on gear, of course you will have a higher level of resources and gear, and this is basically what it is. Reputation is also something that we have here, similar to Forbidden Lands, and these attributes can be used in order to be recognized. It's great. Then we are going to have custom dice. Basically, just one color. So we are not going to have two colors here. Just one color. All dice are going to be blue and yellow. Basically, the invincible colors. And the six are going to have a symbol, and the ones also are going to have a different symbol. And the mechanic is exactly the same. So you roll your dice pool. If you have a 6, you success. If you don't have any 6s, so you fail. However, as you know, there is the push mechanic here. And the push mechanic here works exactly as this all other games. You roll all dice that didn't roll as a 6 or a 1. You roll the remaining dice, and every one that you roll will affect your resolve. It will be converted into stress, and every point of stress reduce one resolve. Basically that. So you have your health, you have your resolve. If you roll and push, every one that you roll in a die will be converted into damage to your resolve attribute. Okay, but if you roll more than 1/6, then you can perform a stunt. So you can show off, you can do it quickly, you can do it quietly, you can achieve some unexpected additional effect. In combat, you will see that we will have some options for both melee combat and ranged combat. But the games also, at least here in the QuickStart, they also all the players can be creative and just try to do something out of the box. So we are not limited to the options that we have as a stunt. We can create and be creative here in the end. Everything else is also similar. The roll modifiers, you can add more die, you can reduce die. If you have help, everyone helping you, add one more die to your roll. Up to 3 people opposing rolls, they are basically the same. And then we have maps and zones, and the game happens when we have action. We go to the action map, and they say that the action map are going to be split into zones. So instead of counting squares or hexes, we just count zones. So one can move from one zone to another. If you have a superpower, it might be the case that it can move 4 zones at once by using your movement. And I can actually open here the map, and this is the map that comes with the Quickstarter rules. And you can see that these yellow lines here, they basically split this room into 4 zones. So we have 4 zones, and if one character wants to move from here to here, it's just move one zone. If you can fly, for instance, for 4 zones, if I'm not wrong, the Invincible can do it. So he could fly it in one movement. He could fly this whole environment here. So it's simpler. It reminds me a little bit Zombicide, because Zombicide we also move from zones, right? One zone to another. So it's very similar to it, and I think it simplifies a lot. And if you think actually, we need to have simple mechanics for that, because we are not playing in a 2D environment. I know that if you play other games, we are not playing a 2D environment. We also have height and so on. But here, the altitude can be really high. So you can have characters in an elevated terrain, like a rooftop or something like this, but they can be even high in the sky or even in the orbit. So outside the planet's atmosphere. So these altitudes are also explained here. So yeah, the game can be really tough in some cases to manage combat and actions. I have no clue how to handle it. I mean, in a map, because usually I tend to play this more narrative than using maps or things like that. But I'm curious to see how it will work. Rounds and initiative, they're basically the same approach as most of the games. You have a set of cards, number from 1 to 10, and you buy a card. There, we are going to have a special cards in the starter set for it. So you draw a card, and the lowest number starts the round, and you take new cards every round. So first round, you get your initiative, you get 5, for instance, you act on your turn. Next turn, you get another card, and so on. Of course, you can hold your initiatives. You can change your initiative with other players. There is surprise attack. Everything very similar to other games. So there is nothing new here. As far as actions are concerned, we have basically 2 types of action: full action and quick action. So this is very similar to Forbidden Lands, where we have slow action and fast action, and it's so similar that we can use here, we can spend our quick action to block. So there is a list here of what you can do. Of course, you're not limited to it, but full actions are basically attacking, using your superpower, and things like that. And quick actions are like movement and dodge, block, and you have 1 full action and 1 quick action per round. So if you want, for instance, to dodge an attack, and you need to save your quick action in order to dodge. You cannot dodge after you spend your quick action. Meaning, if you decide to move and attack, you are not going to be able to dodge or to block an attack because you already spent your quick action in that round. So it's very similar to Forbidden Land in this case. They call here the melee combat, they call slugfest, and the damage that you cause, it's if you are just punching with your bare hands, it's your strength. Actually, your strength divided by 2 round up. So if you have 8 strength, your base damage is going to be 4. But if you have strength 7, you are also going to have the same base damage that's going to be 4, right? And this is very simple. We can see this also in the character sheets. If we have stunts also specific for melee combats, and if you roll more than 1/6, you can do extra damage, you can knock back, you can stun, you can have a bonus move or even a bonus attack, you can disarm. So there is a good list here. If you decide to block and you have more successes than it is required, the stunt that you can use is to basically counter attack. And as they did in the Coriolis the Great Dark, they added here this flowchart that is very useful. I like it. It's really easy to go to it and yeah, basically read what is the step that you need to perform. I like it. Then we have this mechanic called a wrecking zone. Basically, you can use these once per combat or action scene. You can just basically destroy the environment, get like a car, throw it against your enemy and whatever. So yeah, things like that, and you get some bonus dice, and then that zone becomes wrecked, meaning that no one else can do it. So it's good. Mechanically speaking, it gives us +2 dice, but I believe that, of course, if we try to fit this in a narrative and we are superheroes, it might be the case that we cannot just wreck the place, right? So, but I like to see this option here because it brings some mechanic benefits, but then you need to see if it makes sense to do it narratively speaking. I like it. The charge is here and grapple, they are also here differently, because in the melee combat usually we use the fighting skill, but for charging and grapple, it's usually we use the strength. So it's a little bit different. Shooting. So when shooting someone, you roll for agility. So it's not fighting, it's not strength, it's agility. And you also have stunts. If you have extra successes, you can do extra damage, you can disarm, bonus attacks, and so on. And of course, for shooting, you have dodging. The option to avoid that attack, you can dodge that. And there is once again a flow chart here explaining every single step that should be made in this case. Rules for explosions, and then we go to damage. So there is armor in this game. You can have a superpower that gives you armor. You can have an armor that gives you armor. So armor reduces damage in the same way as in any other game. You roll the amount of armor that you have is basically your dice pool, and every success reduces 1 point of damage. If your health goes to 0, you are broken and you need to roll in the critical injuries table. And there are several injuries here, and I like that they also tell us if we are trying to have like a more family game, meaning with foods, we should limit ourselves to the number 9 as the worst case scenario in a family game, because after that you can be torn apart, you can have your head crushed. So things that for kids it could be too much, right? There are rules for rallying, stabilizing, how to recover health, and so on. Very similar to other games. And then it talks about stress. Stress is basically the damage that you suffer in your resolve. And you can get stress by some fact, even a superpower. You can get stress by using your superpowers. Some superpowers, some actions require the usage of your stress. And of course, mechanically, if you push your roll and you roll a 1, you will also get stress. So resolve is very important. Health is important because if you don't have health, you might die, but stress is also very important. And if you drop to 0 resolve, you are broken by stress. And there is no table here to roll. It says here that the stress does not inflict critical injuries like damage, but it can present role-playing opportunities. So there is no table for that, but definitely you become very limited because, as I said, resolve is a resource in the end. That's very useful. And then it talks about challenges, and this is basically if you have like a security measure or something that should be done by the players, the GM can just propose challenge and define a level, for instance 6, and it means that the heroes, they need to act and describe the actions and roll dice, and they need altogether to get 6 successes for this example. But of course the GM should set like a time counting, something like this, because the heroes are going to act, but the countdown will also happens at the same time. So if they are able to reduce the challenge to 0, because every 6 or every success that they get reduce the challenge level, if they reduce it in time, they succeeded, otherwise they fail. So there is this idea, and we have something very similar, if I'm not wrong, in the Walking Dead RPG. It's same principle here. And then next we have the chapter 2, that is the clone job. That is basically a short adventure, as I mentioned at the beginning. And these, I'm not going into it. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to spoil anything. But what we can do now is have a look in the character sheets here. So as I said, we have Adam, Eve, and then we can see everything that we have read in the QuickStart rules. We have hero name, civilian name, role, and then she's a controller in this case, reputation, then the 6 attributes, and then it says the slugfest damage is 2 because she has strength 3, meaning that we should divide by 2, round up, and this is her base damage if she fights in melee combat. Then the powers and boosts, they are here in this list. The power source, talents and drawbacks. She does not have any drawback. And then here the personal stuff, occupation, she is a student, personality, drive, flow, and so on. And we have this for every single character, of course. And we can see that some of them actually have a drawback. For instance, the monster girl, she have the reverse aging. So reverting back to human form causes you to get younger, costing you a further point of resolve. So, and she has resolve at 6. So you see, in her case, every time that she goes back to a human form, she basically needs to pay 1 point of resolve. And she's younger, 1 year younger. But at this moment, I can see that it's already founded, so they already achieved the goal as usual. So definitely, we are going to see this game available next year. If I'm not wrong, it's July next year, so we still have a long time waiting for it. But if you like what you saw here, I strongly recommend you to get the QuickStart rules, read by yourself, test it with your friends, and that's it. Thank you. See you in another video. Bye bye.